Hello everyone, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. I apologize, I'm just a couple minutes late. When I started to film, I realized that my camera was still locked, so I couldn't get it to rotate the correct way, and it took me a minute or two to Google and figure out exactly what I needed to do to get the rotation off. What can I say? Hey, it is Monday, March 14th already. Happy Pi Day. Wondering if anybody did anything to celebrate that. One of my coworkers actually brought in 3 pies for us today, including a homemade key lime pie. It was very delicious, so we got to enjoy that at work today, along with a couple other pies that she had picked up. Looking at my image in my Facebook page right now going, look, my hair is awful today. Is what it is. I'm trying to grow it out, and some days it works better than other days. So whatever, we're going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed the video that I had for you last week. It is my training for my CERT program has started, and last week was our first night, so it was important that I was there. I think I'm going to try to go every other week to the training, so there may be, kind of a pre-recorded something on those weeks, because I don't want to miss anything out, but it's a really cool group of people that we're working with, and I want to make sure that I'm part of that too. So we'll make it kind of work that way. I'm also going to let you know I am home alone right now, and my dog is a little bit bored, but also is barking upstairs, and he never barks, so I'm not quite sure. Hey, Sue, how are you doing? If you hear him barking in the background, just ignore him, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not quite sure what... He never barks. He truly doesn't, so I'm not sure what's causing the issue. I'm not seeing anything when I've looked out the window. So anyway, just be aware of that. There's a couple good promotions going on right now that I want to share with you with Stampin' Up. One is that Waves of the Ocean suite that I've shared with you. That is still available, and there's just fabulous products with that, and I don't want you guys missing out, because while the stamp set and the dies are going to be available, the coordinating paper and gemstones and things like that are not. I'm going to actually flip my camera over right now, because I want you to be able to show a couple of things that I have printed out. So hang on a second here. Hey Vicky, how are you? All right, just hang on while we flip and ignore the mess that you may get to see in the process. All right, that's my ceiling. And now I just got to rotate my camera. And of course, I'm not finding there it is. It'd be so much simpler, I think, if I had all the fancy stuff, but I'm not there yet, so we get to do it the way I'm doing it. We're going to flip things around. Vicky, I am doing well. Hey, Kay. I was excited when I saw that you were out there, because I don't know if I've gotten to see you watch it live, Vicky. So I hope things are going well for you. Anyhow, here is the Waves of Inspiration stamp. It's actually Waves of Inspiration. I call it Waves of the Ocean. But the stamp set and the dies will be available in the annual catalog. But this gorgeous paper and the foil paper and the rhinestones that I've shared with you, these things are only available through May 2nd or while supplies last. So I don't want you to miss out on that. And then the other thing that I do want you to be aware of before we get going too far is the there are 2 different Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss machines, and there is a small one that is available right now on sale. It's the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss, and it is on sale for 25% off, so regularly $60, and it is now on sale for $48, and that only goes through the end of the month. But in addition to that being on sale, there's also a number of stamp sets and dies bundles that are also on sale. So they're also 20% off. So great. You don't see that very often, and there's some great stamp sets, starting with this all squared away one, and then other stamp sets here. So make sure you check out my store online if you're interested in any of these, or drop me a line and I can send you the information But there are some really, really cool bundles out there that are for sale. So like I said, I just don't want you missing out on any of these specials that are out there. But tonight the technique, oh, I got a big spider crawling up my wall. I don't like spiders. Just a minute. It was actually crawling down my wall. Now it's gone. All right. Sorry about that. I wouldn't be able to keep doing my thing here if I had that spider staring at me. Today I'm going to show you a really cool technique, and this was actually inspired. Well, I've seen tons of cars over the years with it, and I thought, I can't do that. It's too hard. Whatever. And it turns out it's really simple to do. And one of my demonstrating friends by the name of Cheryl Lee actually showed this on her page, and I couldn't believe how simple it was. It looks hard, but it is not, and it has a really cool look to it. And so I've got a couple samples that I'm going to show you that I did, and I'm going to start kind of with a basic one where you may or may not be able to see quite as much what I did, but it's the whitewash technique. And all I've done is stamp this image on So Saffron, and then I used the Bumblebee ink to stamp my image, and then I whitewashed it using the Stampin' Up! Whisper White craft ink, which is a really thick ink, and so it just lightens it up. So there's one card that I made doing that. I just was kind of playing around with different colors. And then I made a second note card, this time using polished pink, and I think it shows up a little bit more on here. And I did color in the center of the hibiscus with a yellow, I think it's actually this is Mango Melody, is the color that I used of my blends. And so I just whitewashed it, but I did it on the colored paper because I've had hibiscus that have been this lighter color. Then I just embossed the background. I stamped it and then embossed the background to make a little hello greeting card. And then I started kind of playing around with an image on dark paper because I thought it's really going to pop. I don't like those, so I changed my mind. It does make it pop, but I think the definition gets lost, so I tossed those out of the way. And I ended up making this card, and these are actually some of the colors that Cheryl used in her video that I thought were really pretty. So this was kind of just another sample that I fixed up, and this is actually the card I'm going to show you how to make today. And so let me get started and we will go from there. Hi Shari, how are you tonight? I am going to change up again a little bit with what I make in terms of the color. I'm going to try it with a different one. Like I said, I think the lighter color background with a darker color ink stamping the image works better than doing the dark tones. So I'm going to focus when I do this always using lighter colors because it works best for me. The first time I tried this, I actually just put some of my ink onto here, the silicone pad, and in the past you may or may not have heard that I'm kind of a messy stamper. Yeah, so I ended up putting my card in it. Didn't work very well. So I am going back to using a clear block, and all you need to do to get started with this technique is just put a little bit of the craft ink onto your block. You could put it on anything else. Like I said, the silicone mat works great, but because I'm messy, it doesn't work so great. That's all there is to it. So my base of my card is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I just ran it through the Timeless Textures embossing folder to add a little texture. I didn't do that on this card, and I thought it just needed a little more pop, and so that's why I chose to do that. On these cards I used the cute little polka dots. All right, and then I have a piece for the inside of my card, and then I've got 2 pieces of purple. That's going to be my theme. And so with the Highland Heather, the lighter of the 2 colors, this piece measures 2 1/2 by 4 1/4, and my gorgeous grape is 4 3/8 by 2 1/2. So this should be 2 3/8. Yep, 2 3/8 by 4 1/4, and then 2.5 by 4 3/8. So I really like doing fun folds and learning techniques and things. And like I said, with this one, I see something and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. That's way too hard for me. I'm here to show you guys today that this is simple. So I've got my gorgeous grape ink pad. I'm choosing to do a darker color. I think it makes things pop just a little bit with this technique. So when I'm doing a bigger stamp, I tend to stamp my ink on top of it rather than stamping the stamp into my ink pad. And I'm just gonna put this image kind of centered on here. And this is actually this image from the Blessings of Home stamp set. What I have found in all of the videos that I watched and demonstrations of this particular technique is that using the distinctive stamps, so they're the ones that are going to have kind of built-in shading already. So you can see that on the hibiscus or the little flower here. Flowing Flowers is another set I think that this would work well on. You could even just do part of the flower and let the rest just be left plain. But they work a little bit better because they do have some of that built-in shading. So there's just a few that you can try to do that with. And then the other thing that you're going to make is this, or need to make this card, is a blender pen. I think pretty much once you're done with this technique, the pen probably won't be much good for anything other than this technique. So just beware of that. You could clean it. And you should do that when you're done anyhow, but I'm not sure that you're ever going to get all of the white out because it's such a thick ink. So just beware. If you've got one that's somewhat dry, go ahead and use that. So all I'm going to do is I've squirted my drop on there and I've just dipped my pen into it, and I'm going to start coloring in my flower. And you don't need a lot of ink. The blender pen is going to help spread it around anyhow. I did try both doing kind of the up and down brush stroke as well as a circular motion when I was working on my samples. And I did find that doing a brush stroke, you need the detail that the brush provides rather than going around in circles. It just provides a better overall texture, in my opinion. Okay, and then I'm just going to keep working my way around. Now this is a thicker ink, and so it will take a little bit of time to dry. I found that if I just used my heat tool, that it would dry really quick. Otherwise you can just leave it, and as it dries you can tell it goes on kind of opaque, but as it dries it does lighten up, and the longer it sits drying, the lighter it's going to get. And it's funny because I sent Cheryl a note after her video saying, oh my gosh, I never knew how easy that technique was. And she's like, it's so easy, you need to do it too. So Cheryl, thank you for the idea because she was my inspiration to try this card. All right, so I've got the big flower done, and I'm just going to keep going in and coloring. So while I'm coloring here, how is everybody doing? Did you have a good weekend? I actually got to have a CC day on Saturday, so spent some time down at their house. And her personality's starting to come out. She can sit in her little exercisery type thing. Legs aren't quite long enough to touch the ground and bounce, but she's kind of figured out if she leans to one side in her bouncy chair thingy that she can make it move just a little bit. It'll be fun to watch her when she figures out that the seat she's in actually can spin around a little bit too. So that was fun. And Sunday I got to have breakfast, I guess with Sarah. So I brought over her hiking shoes, and she had one of the girls in her class is a Girl Scout, so she had some Girl Scout cookies that she'd picked up to help one of her students with her Girl Scout goals. So we made a swap of those items. I think we came out ahead with the Girl Scout cookies, but she probably thinks her hiking boots were good. And then we're entering, today it was just about 30, I think. And it dropped down to 26 during the day. We had some snow flurries come through, but tomorrow and the next couple days, it's going to be 50 or higher. There's one day we're even going to hit 57. I can't wait. Cannot wait for that. Okay. So I'm on my last flower here. And if you want it to be whiter, all you have to do is you can go back over and paint it again to get it a little bit darker. For these particular flowers, I don't really want to do that. So I am going to leave it as I have it here. And I'm just going to cap my pen. I will clean it later, but make sure that you are doing that because it will get, whoops, look. I took the cap off one end and put it on the end that I was using. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to set that block way out of the way. And then the rest of this card is going to be fairly easy to stamp. I'm going to be using the greeting from this one, Have a Perfect Birthday. And look how brave I'm being. I've got this little piece of paper. And I'm going to do this live. Okay, Loki's joined me down here, so hopefully he's going to stop barking. But then he'll probably find his ball and think I should be throwing it for him too. We'll see what happens. All right. Hey, April, if you're watching out there, notice the pretty purple card. I thought about you when I picked my colors here. Hi, Pam. How are you doing? Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that. So I've got this cut so that the greeting will basically fit right in that spot. Let's see how well I stamped it. It's a little crooked. I have a back side. And if this doesn't work, I did cut one more piece just in case. That one's crooked too. If this ends up crooked after doing it on both sides, then I'm just going to use it crooked to finish the card, and I'll fix it later. I know it's kind of gutsy to be. I'm wondering if I have my paper cut just a titch crooked too. So we're going to go with this one. And again, I'm going to get that block out of the way so I don't set my card. I actually set this card into some of the ink, but I was able to lift most of it up with my gum eraser. So that works in a pinch. And then I want to put the "You're a Real Blessing to Everyone Around You" on the inside. I think that's a really pretty greeting sentiment for cards. So let's go ahead and put that on the inside. And I'm going to put that in the center. And then we're going to go really wild. Mostly because I forget to do this sometimes. But assuming I can find an envelope. There we go. We're going to stamp on our envelope too and dress that up. And I think I'm just going to use this image again, kind of in the corner of my envelope, or maybe along the side. So I just need to grab a piece of scratch paper that I can stamp on the back. Oh, I didn't even realize, you know what, I'm wearing purple today too. Didn't even realize that when I started stamping my cards. All right, I'm going to open up my envelope. Ooh, what's that? Looks like I froze up a little bit. Can you guys see me? My screen isn't moving. Hopefully it'll start. So anyhow, I've inked up the same image and I'm just going to stamp it off just a little bit and on the left side of my envelope. And that way I have a matching envelope to go with too. All right. Again, I'm going to set that aside. I hope I'm not frozen for you guys. Can maybe give me a thumbs up. It looks like some of you are seeing it. So I'm just gonna, there we go. We moved. So anyhow, I just stamped, if you missed it, the image on the outside of my envelope too. It's not gonna get in the way of where I put my address, and I can still put a return label up here as well. All right, so let's start to assemble. Oops. A dirty stamper must always close their ink pads. Alrighty, so let's take our seal and we're gonna go ahead and start assembling. All right, and then this piece and this piece are going to be layered, and there's going to be just an 1/8 of an inch border that's exposed around the edge of this. It's going to be a close. Oh, and look at it, wasn't dry yet. Okay, we're going to pretend that that isn't there, and I'll figure out a way to cover it up. I don't even want to take my eraser right now because I know I'm going to gum it up. But don't worry, we'll come up with a good way to fix that. Let me step away for 1 second here. I'll put my other cards out here and you can look at how pretty those are. Maybe. Take a look at those. Just a moment. Let me get my heat gun. Okay, sorry about that. I just didn't want to smear any more ink. We'll set those aside. And then I will add adhesive to the back of this. And what I'm going to try to do when I place this is sort of have the same border top, bottom, and the left side of my card. It's not going to be centered. Basically because I like it like that. You can do whatever you want with yours. And then my sentiment I am going to pop up on mini dimensionals, of which I have them right here. I didn't even have to look very far. And you know, I think what the problem is I don't think my paper's cut very straight. I just can't figure out which side. Let me see if I can trim it. I think this side needs to come down just a skosh. Okay, sometimes that's what happens when you use your scraps up. I think the other side is a little straighter. So I'll take my mini dimensionals and I'm going to put 4 on here just because it's a longer sentiment. I want to move that one down just a little bit. Whoops. And oops, make sure I put it on the right way. And I'm just going to put it right here on my card. And then I am going to dig out some rhinestones. And that will help me cover up a little bit where I smeared ink. Ooh, looks like I actually need to open up new silver ones. Huh. Who'd have known? All right. There we go. So we'll get our take our pick tool out, and it's going to take a big one to cover up that spot. So we don't need to worry about that. And I don't know if I'm going to put one here or not. I'll put one up here for sure. Oop, they're flying across my work table. I don't like it there. We'll put it there. I'm hoping that I can get more of that lifted up a little bit. And if not, it's a homemade card, and that's what happens sometimes. Okay, and then I'm taking my gorgeous grape sheer ribbon, and I'm just going to make a little knot bow. And by that I mean I'm just taking my ribbon and tying a little knot in it. Not going to have loops or anything like that. And then I will take a sharp pair of scissors and snip at an angle. And snip that at an angle. Hopefully they're about the same size. And then I'm going to use a glue dot. Put that right in the center. And attach my bow right there. Let me see what happens when that's lifting most of it off. I think the only ones that are going to know that that's there is going to be those that watch this video. And so we're just going to go with that flow. So there you go. There is the completed card. Again, if you want this darker, you just come back and put another coat on. But isn't that so simple? So very simple. And you don't need to paint a lot. You just want to do the part that you want to have pop up. Make sure you're using the distinctive stamps because it does give you a little bit of lift with your image. I found it worked better to use a darker color ink on lighter colored paper. My newsletter, you will receive automatically free tutorials, PDF tutorials from me. My goal is to send out one every week along with my newsletter. I won't bombard your email with tons of newsletters or junk, but I will share with you sales and things like that that might be happening with Stampin' Up, let you know about my classes, share with you cards that I'm working on, and like I said, for signing up you will receive tutorials every time I send out a newsletter. So again, that's at www.carolscreativeescape.com, and there'll be a pop-up that'll show up so that you can sign up for my newsletter and get those free tutorials. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Thanks for taking your time to watch today. Have a great week, everyone. And if you're in Minnesota, at least enjoy the gorgeous weather that we have coming this way. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.